Welcome back to another edition of Inside Lebanon Warriors Athletics here on LebanonWarriors.com and ESPN Media powered by Sidearm Sports. My name is Jason Griefer. Keith Pantling is back joining us once again, and we're going to kind of put a bow on the fall sports season here on the podcast. Keith, good to have you back here. And before we get into all of our on-the-field teams, we still have another big deal to talk about first, and that is some of the young student athletes that help kind of get everybody into the athletic events that we always talk about here on the show. And that's your cheerleading squad. A big weekend over the weekend as they go out to Milford for a huge competition and wind up coming away winning the grand championship there. Take us through it.
Yeah, so last Sunday they competed. It was their first competition of the year. So it's kind of new here. Coming from the G-Walk, they did some different things in terms of competing. Now moving into the ECC, a lot of the schools, it's a big deal. So they've really been working hard to elevate the program and things that they do. So they took part in a competition there and won first in game day and first in performance as well to leave as grand champion. So super proud of them and the work they do. And Bethany Lamb, Connie Dooning, and Christy Smith put a lot of time and effort in for those girls. So top to bottom, great program. They bring so much spirit to our community, and we're just so proud of all the work they do. And it's awesome that they finally get to get recognized for their performance and the work they put in to do what they do, and kind of for our community to realize how good they are at what they do. So.
Yeah, absolutely. As sometimes kind of the unsung heroes of the athletic department are the cheerleaders, but they're just as much as student athletes as anybody else that takes the field of competition. So great way for them to be recognized there, as you said, grand champions at a big deal out at Milford recently. So congratulations to them. So they won a championship. Let's talk about your cross-country teams because we got opportunities for a couple of regional championships here. The girls as a team are through to the regional championships. They're going to have a real big opportunity there coming up. And on the boys' side, JD Fleeg is going to have a chance to run as individual runner on his own to try to win a regional championship. On the boys' side, we also saw this past weekend your junior high team making a big impact at the state meet as well for them. So I'm just curious from that point, given everything that's going on and all the momentum you have, how would you characterize the overall strength and depth of your cross country from the high school program and also the junior high kids that are slowly about to make their way in?
Well, you hear that term culture thrown around a lot. This is our running community is awesome. They work really well together. Coach Bierkin leads the charge, obviously as our head cross country coach, but it runs right through down into the junior high. And every year you see some of these numbers come out of freshmen that arrive on at the high school practice and are immediately in the thick of things. Just goes to show just the training regimen and the collaboration we have at the lower level. So just overall great program, and we're excited to see what we can do at regionals. Obviously the girls last year made their first trip to state in school history, and they're hitting their stride, so to speak, right now. So it's excited about Saturday. Then on the boys' side, missing Calvin Kilgallen this year really hurt, who was out. The sophomore who broke a bunch of freshman records here at Lebanon would have helped in terms of the team success. But to see JD get through was really awesome. And I know he's worked extremely hard and kind of has taken over that leadership role. The boys ran really well, just couldn't get through there. So looking forward to Saturday and supporting JD and the girls, and hopefully the girls can get through to state.
Always a nice thing to talk about in late October, getting back to state, no matter what the program is, but especially when you have that depth for your entire team and looking to get back for a second straight year. That's a big deal for them. So we'll be checking on them and also what JD does in the regional run as well. Let's move on. Let's talk about your golf teams. They finished up their play as teams in the sectionals a couple of weeks back. We did see Riley Johnson get through to the districts on her own. She wound up finishing just 6 shots shy of making it to state. So fine season, maybe not quite where she wanted to get, but nevertheless, can't complain about getting through to the districts there. That's not an easy thing to do. And nevertheless, she's still got a couple of years to go at Lebanon to progress even further. So it's been a couple of weeks, as I said, since the team season's come to an end. I'm wondering from that perspective, if you've had a chance to talk to the coaches, what do the offseason programs look like, and also the prospects for both heading into next fall?
Yeah, well, you mentioned Riley, obviously won ECC Player of the Year, had tremendous individual success, but as a team, that's a very young team. So they're really looking forward to next year, and I think they're very motivated going into the offseason. You have Lindsey Donahue, who's just a sophomore, Anna Spar, Jessica Dilhoff, Chase Lambert. I mean, they're all coming back. So really looking forward to the growth of that program. On the boys' side, our seniors, Connor West and Owen Maccabee, finished the season incredibly strong. But then you look again, moving into next year at someone like Peyton Lawley, who's just a freshman and made his way into the all-conference team, and and certainly has a bright future. So looking forward to those programs continuing to progress.
Let's move on to the pitch here. Let's talk about your boys soccer team first. They were eliminated by Carroll in the second round of the state tournament, losing 3-0, but still a 10-win year. And that is double what we saw a year ago in your first year in the ECC. Obviously, everybody wants to win a state championship. That always can't happen. So maybe a little bit of disappointment there, but still had to be considered a resounding success coming into this year, given the struggles from a year ago to double your win total.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Jason. Just kind of, over the weekend, and didn't end the way we wanted to, and wasn't our best representation of Lebanon at that game. But when you step back and really look at the year as a whole, we are extremely proud of this program and what Coach James and Coach Imhoff and Coach Pierce have done. As you mentioned, 10 wins is a big deal. And, they beat Carroll earlier in the year for the first time, we think, in program history. We were trying to determine that, who's kind of a perennial power, and then had to go back and face them again. And, sometimes, learning how to win is the first step towards improving a program. So they took a lot of big steps in a lot of big games this year. Kirk Rogers, we're going to sorely miss at goal. I think we averaged under 1 goal a game on the year, which is incredibly awesome. But Coach really changed the culture of this program. You talk about grit, determination, all those things that a defensive-minded team would need. They played some really good soccer. So we're really proud of them and looking forward to the future of this program.
A lot of grit and determination on the girls' side as well, but they unfortunately get knocked out in the first round against Little Miami, 2-1 in overtime. Wound up finishing the year 7-8-2 overall. Of course, the last 2 regular season games against Loveland and Seton, tough way to kind of close out the regular season, just given how strong both those programs are. And then, of course, as I said, Little Miami gets you in overtime. So really tough way to end the season there. I'm just wondering from that, how would you characterize what happened in this match? And then also on the year where the team could just never really seem to just build that consistent run of a winning streak or unbeaten streak, if you will. It's kind of an up and down year.
Well, I think going the theme of this year, I think you mentioned that word grit, and then I think overcoming adversity, right? I think a lot of great lessons were learned for these student athletes this year. If you go back to the end of last year and you're painting a picture for this season, and you're looking at Danny Hicks coming back, and Crosley Kessler and Alex Wilson and all the things that were accomplished last year in that first year in the ECC, you would have written a different story for this year. And then so Crosley and Danny go out with ACL injuries, which ironically occurred on the same day in the off season. Who were 2 of our best and two captains. And then you kind of hit your stride in the season, have to reposition people, go through some different things. The girls never wavered. They continued to just press on and play tremendous. And I feel as though they had this underdog mentality in every game and really worked really hard. And Coach, I know, has never been so proud of a team for what they've kind of overcome to continue to just press on. And we talked after losing that game earlier this week, just to say, like, they deserved to win, right? They played really well. And that's just the way, the ball kind of bounces in soccer sometimes, but controlled the game, just really wanted it for them. But at the end of the day, like, it was another, opportunity for them to kind of overcome and deal with some adversity. And that's something that they'll never forget, is how close of a group that was because of all the things that they went through. So record aside and all that, this was one heck of a team that I'll remember for a long, long time.
going forward, as you reflect back on this, knowing what you could have had this season with Danny and Crossley and then losing them, do you anticipate looking back on the season as, boy, what if?
I don't think so. I mean, I sometimes wonder what coach kind of thinks. But the mentality of this team, right, is like, so what now what, right? Like what do we have in front of us? Who do we have here? And I'm going to coach the heck out of them. And Danny and Crosby were still there helping out. And Alex Wilson still had a heck of a year. And we had people all over the place just doing their thing and developing. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what it's all about, right? It's just that's what team sports are, is just rallying together and putting your best foot forward with what you have. And some tremendous lessons were learned for sure.
Yeah, Alex Wilson leading the team in goals with 9 on the year, but going to have some nice pieces coming back next year. Kennedy Cantrell, Zoe Rogers, your keeper, Lucy Martin, who we've documented here on the podcast in the past. They're all going to be back. So nice core coming back for next year. Let's move on. Let's talk about your tennis team. And their season ended in the sectional up at Centerville a couple of weeks back. Obviously, a very, very difficult season for the team in any way you want to take a look at it there. It seemed like at times, if they didn't have bad luck, they didn't have much luck at all. And sometimes that happens. That's the way the ball bounces from one year to the next. So I'm wondering, in that perspective, now that we've had some time since the season has ended, what kind of conversations have you had with the coaching staff? And what are your thoughts on their plans for the offseason to try and take a step forward going into next year?
I think the big thing is that we talk about it from a big picture perspective is just growing the game in the Lebanon area, right? We talked on here before about some of the communities we compete against and having indoor facilities and youth programs and all those different things. It's just how do we grow some programs in our community that maybe aren't as prevalent. But our girls, we are so proud of that do come out and compete, and their growth and maturation in terms of the game. You look at Ellie Andrade, who came out and ended up earning honorable mention in the ECC, just has given everything to the program throughout her career. And then Eden Chin and Michaela Spadel, they went, and we were so proud of the progress they made out at sectionals to win a couple matches at Centerville. So coach is tremendously proud of who we have. And then you do have that component of looking into the future and how we continue to grow and improve the program. But just it's a sport, right, where you have to play a lot. You have to kind of be in those circles to really compete at a high level. So whether you're out there for enjoyment or doing whatever, we're just going to do what we have. With what we have, we're going to try to do the best we can with what we have. So
kind of a similar story with your football team. We talked maybe about a month ago or so after a 2-point loss to West Claremont and a 4-point loss to Winton Woods. And I think the biggest thing you pointed out was this team deserves a win. They've been playing so well. Their defense has kept you in so many opportunities. And we finally saw the dam break a little bit here a couple of weeks back. After you go on the road, you beat Little Miami, and that really got the ball rolling from there. You've won your last 3 to finish out the regular season. You beat Milford in a tight one, beat Walnut Hills 28-27. You can't get any tighter than that, but they found a way to grind it out and win that one. And because of that, you've shot all the way up to an 11 seed in the playoffs, and you're going to see Milford for the second time in 3 weeks. So I'm curious, over the last 3 weeks, what's been the biggest difference in this team that's allowed them to turn things around? And then also your thoughts on getting Milford for the second time.
This is going to sound a little weird, Jason, but nothing's different. And I think that says a lot about this program, right? Regardless of the record early on, they just kept fighting and kept working hard and checking in with the coaches all the time and how practices were going. And if you walked in, you wouldn't know what their record was. And that says a lot about a football program. I think, just to get over the hump and get that first one was definitely motivating for the kids and could have, kind of provided them a little bit of a boost going into the following weeks. But hadn't won a playoff game here since 2002, I believe, when they beat Anderson and then went on to play a Coleraine team down at Paul Brown Stadium. So it's been a long time. And man, what a week to come off a couple wins, head to Milford, rally our community and things, and get behind these boys who have really had a great story, right, to start the season 0-6 that way. Missed the first game because of some COVID and to be here at 3-0 in the month of October and have a chance to go play a playoff game at Milford is pretty awesome. So just riding the wave, man, enjoying this week. And I know the kids and especially the seniors are really excited about the opportunity.
We documented, as I said, a couple of close losses to West Claremont and to Winton Woods in weeks 2 and 3 of the season, then 2 close wins over Milford and Walnut Hills as of late. So if you're going to do it, you want to do it late in the year. Do you feel like with everything this team has gone through that they're going to go into the playoffs here, against Milford and possibly beyond with the mindset that with everything we've been through, it doesn't matter who we line up against. We know we can play with anybody and we can compete with anybody in our region and take them all the way to the wire?
Yeah, I think there's certainly some confidence there if you were to ask Coach. I think the other thing too is being a younger team, just having games under your belt to develop as a player and become more comfortable and confident. You look at Adam Sherrick at quarterback, how he's been able to manage the game, eliminate turnovers, do some things that the coaches want or expect out of him. And then just positions all over the place, just a lot of young guys stepping in and now having, those reps, and then to couple that with some victories, they're competing a year ahead now, if you will. So, there's juniors in there that probably feel like seniors, and there's sophomores that feel like juniors, and you got some games under your belt to where this team isn't necessarily young anymore. And so you see a little bit more crisp play out of them. And I know Coach is really proud.
And also your tailback, Braden Kay, finishing the year with the regular season with 1,100 yards and only played 8 games on the season. His last game, boy, they rode him hard against Walnut Hills, 44 carries, but 226 yards. So he has been a big factor in it as well. And a really great season. He is also had,
I love watching him play. And it's funny because, I spent some time obviously around football in my career, and a coach I worked with always talked about the first one up, being the first one up is kind of a mentality. And it's funny because he runs so hard. He's not the biggest guy on the field, and he's always the first one off the ground and back in formation. Just love watching him play, and really proud of him.
I think it's no coincidence that your 4 highest point total out affairs of the season have been the games where he has run for at least 150 yards. So I think it's also a big factor. He will be against a Milford team that's coming in a little banged up. They've been struggling as of late. So real good opportunity for your team there, now going on the road this time against Milford to try to beat him again and advance to the second round here. Let's move on. Let's talk about your volleyball team now. They won the ECC championship outright for the second year in a row and currently sit at 19-5 in the on the season. And we're still playing, of course, which is always a nice thing. And it's become the expectation at this point after a 4-set win over Miamisburg in the most recent round of the sectional. Now we look at these things, and they're getting set up to play Kettering Fairmont on Tuesday to try to advance to the districts. And Fairmont pulled a big upset over Troy, who would come into that matchup, I think something like 20-1 or 21-1, and Fairmont took them out. So you get them in the sectional final. We look ahead at the schedule, the way the bracket's set up. If you win here, you're likely going to see Mount Notre Dame in the districts coming up on the 30th. And so I'm wondering, just first of all, with this sectional final, how important it would be for the team to get back to the districts and also in the process make it 3 straight 20-win seasons.
I think that's certainly the goal, right? This is a very competitive program that is very driven, and they certainly have high expectations. So they are, I can assure you, they're just looking at one match at a time, but it's hard not to look a little bit ahead to that Saturday matchup if they were to get by this. I know Coach was really impressed with Fairmont. We were also probably expecting to see Troy, but coming from the GWAC, we know the capability of Fairmont, and obviously we just played Miamisburg and the level of volleyball in that conference. So certainly not looking past. We're excited to go back up to Vandalia tomorrow. We're encouraging a lot of our kids. I think our boosters are going to chip in and get some tickets for some of our kids to go up and support them tomorrow. So we're used to it. Late October, we still got volleyball going on, and we're excited to support our kids. So a lot of great accolades coming out here as I'm privy to the information, but we don't share it in the ECC till everyone's out of the postseason. But have some great accolades for a lot of our volleyball players coming up here later in October.
ECC champions for the second year in a row. And I think especially I want to get your thoughts as well on this, the fact that they've won 10 of 11 going into this matchup with Fairmont. We always talk about the old edges. You want to peak at the right time. You want to peak at the end of the season. What's been the one or two things that have stood out to you over the last month or so of the regular season and into the sectional where they've gone 10-1?
I think they're having fun. I like the energy around the program, and they're just having a lot of fun playing the game. I think they just kind of simplified things and said, "Hey, look, we're talented. Let's just go out there and play like we know how, and not overthink it." So, I just love the energy around them recently. They don't get too down if they're losing a set. They're pretty carefree right now, and I think maybe that's their best recipe for success.
Sectional final against Fairmont, possibly seeing Mount Notre Dame in a district matchup coming up on the 30th. But again, got to get past Fairmont first. But nevertheless, second straight ECC title there. So to recap, in the fall season, ECC championship in volleyball, top 3 finishes in boys golf, boys and girls cross country, and girls soccer. So we were starting off the year really, really strong. We also talked about the way the football team has been playing the last 3 weeks or so, and a very dangerous team they are going into the playoffs. So given all that, as we wrap up here on the program, I just want to get your general thoughts on the state of the Lebanon athletics right now, and what stands out to you, and what are you most looking forward to as we start to turn an eye towards the winter season?
Well, me personally, this is a busy time of year, right? Where we're trying to manage what's going on, what's coming up in the winter, while we close down shop on the fall. But really, just love the trajectory of our programs. Right, you're either getting better, or you're getting worse, and I feel like overall our athletic programs are getting better. I love the passion and energy of our student body and our community and supporting our programs. And so I think our goal overall is to just continue to represent Lebanon well. Have great community support, and continue to use athletics as a way to educate our kids and become better students and people, fathers, husbands, wives, sisters, brothers, whatever it may be. And it's a great vehicle for it. So all of those things, just proud of our coaches, our kids, and we just keep moving in the right direction. And that's what it's all about. So the wins will come if you're doing things the right way, and continue to press on. So just proud to be a Warrior.
A lot of things being done the right way at Lebanon High School and in and around the Lebanon community. And our thanks once again to Lebanon Athletic Director Keith Pantling as we wrap up the fall sports season of Inside Lebanon Warriors Athletics here on LebanonWarriors.com and ESP Media, powered by Sidearm Sports.